Hi and welcome back to Sailing LRA. I thought I'd try something a little bit different today and kill two birds with one stone, so to speak, and do this whilst I'm driving to Sydney to go to the boat. I live in Canberra. If you're viewing from outside Australia and possibly don't know a lot about Australia, Canberra is it's the national capital, but it's part of what we call the Australian Capital Territory, which is like an island, a landlocked island, if you like, in the state of New South Wales, and it's a federal territory. Has its own government, but it is where the national government of this country operates from. It is, on a good day, about 3.5 hours from home to the boat. What I wanted to do today was just talk you through the process that I went through buying the boat. It might be very different than the way that you would do things, but this is how I have done things, and if it's of any help to you, that's fantastic. If not, well, ignore it or take it for entertainment value. So firstly, you've seen my two previous videos, and I'll link them in the description or up in the screen up the top there somewhere. I'll put some tabs. You'll also see in the first of my buying a bigger boat video, there was a particular type of boat I was specifically interested in. So I was always focused and always looking out for my ultimate boat, which was the North Shore 340. I'd always liked the 33, the North Shore 33. And the 340 I didn't know existed until a couple of years ago, and then I saw one advertised for sale and I went, wow. It was like a 33 that was just perfected, if you like. I didn't even get a chance to look at that first boat. I mean, I wasn't in the market at the time, but I didn't even get a chance to look at that boat because it was sold so quickly. And subsequent ones that I have seen for sale have also sold very quickly. So I was an eagle eye for any North Shore 340s that have been for sale, and I've been looking, I'll be blatantly honest, I've been looking for a minimum of 12 months, and you can stretch that out to about 18 months really. The boat that I ultimately bought came up for sale. The advertised price was about right for a very good one. Others had sold for lower prices, and I'll get into a very good one in just a moment. But it seemed to be about right, maybe a bit on the heavy side, but about right at a stretch. I made some inquiries with the broker. I'd like to do a bit of a, I hate the expression, but shout out to DBY Yacht Sales at Newport. Rod particularly, but Darren, thank you, and the team, magnificent to deal with. But I made some inquiries, and I went to Newport and met Rod, and he took me out to the boat. And on initial viewing, I liked the boat. On face value, it looked like it had been very well kept. Cosmetically, it just needed a little bit. What I'm talking about is it needed a buff on the outside, and the name had been scratched and stuff like that, which is okay because we all know how stripes on boats get chipped and scratched. And plus, I had always intended to change the name anyway. Just a few little things that are important to me, but maybe not as important to other boat owners. I made a cheeky offer at the time, and Rod was very honest with me, and he said that there was no way I was going to get the boat for that price, but he would make inquiries with the owner about what kind of price would be okay, or agreeable to the owner. Now here's where I think you need to be a little bit sensible and a little bit reasonable. Spoke to Rod the following day, and he had an answer for me, which was not a great deal under the asking price. It was only a small amount under the asking price. But when you started to look at what had been done to the boat in the 6 months prior to its ultimate sale to me, you started to see the value in it. Now, the rigging had been redone. Now, the rigging was beautifully done, has been beautifully done. That was done in April this year. Not only the rigging, but the chain plates had also been replaced. Not only that, but the chain plates, as with most boats, attached to bulkheads within the boat, and rot had been found in the bulkheads that hold the chain plates are attached. So they had all been replaced as part of this refurbishment, if you like. Not with 9mm marine ply with a veneer of teak over the top. They were replaced with solid teak. That was a really expensive repair. And it's been beautifully done. You could not tell that those bulkheads are different in age than the rest of the teak in this boat. The sail drive had been done a few years prior, but again, a very expensive repair that should be well and truly fine for many years. The engine had been freshly serviced. The boat had been anti-fouled, and he's going, yeah, okay, we can all get the boats anti-fouled or the engine service. Yes, but they add to the cost that you will have to come up with, or they add to the money that you're going to have to come up with after you buy the boat. So if you tackle that onto the asking price, it starts to change a little bit. So I saw more and more value in the boat the more I delved into its history. And might I say that the owner had left an amazing file of receipts, information, manuals on the boat, including I think a 6 or 7 page instruction manual about how to operate the various systems in the boat. Just incredible. So ultimately, after I started to see that extra value in the boat, I went back out for a second look at the boat just to be sure. I went out that following day and had a second viewing. Rod and I talked about various things, including selling LRA. But at the end of the trip, he said, "What do you think?" And it was then that I said, clearly pending survey, I was agreeable to the price that the owner was after. So the boat was taken off the market and survey arranged. Following week, I arranged to meet the surveyor at the DBY office, and we were taken out to the boat, and we spent a few hours on the boat. What was interesting to me, and I thought I'd had a pretty good look at the boat, but obviously I'm not as trained an eye as the surveyor. But what was really good, and this happens, and this will happen to you as well, or has happened to you. What was really good was hopping onto that boat for the first time was different than hopping onto Elleray, because I had that much more experience with what to look for, and I thought I'd had a fairly good amount of experience from looking at previous boats, which I guess I had, but I had now had lots more. So I felt a lot more comfortable with what I was looking for, potential problems and stuff like that. So I was interested to hear the banter between Don and the yard manager at the Royal Prince Alfred Yacht Club, John from memory. It was a lovely gentleman. And they were talking about the boat as it was coming up on the lift. I wasn't on the boat at the time. I was off on the wharf filming this. So the conversation was unsolicited, but it was very, very positive. And Don was speaking of the boat in glowing terms. So obviously my confidence was rising. So the boat came out, and as expected, it wasn't even the slightest sign of osmosis. Now, a couple of things on this. The boat's not that old, relatively speaking. It's a 2000 model. Yeah, plenty of time for osmosis to start to appear and stuff, but it's still relatively recent. The second thing was that North Shore boats are particularly known for their resistance to osmosis. Now, I'm not a chemical scientist or whatever, but a chemist or whatever, but I understand that the type of resin that they used and the way that they used it, please tell me if I'm wrong, is a particularly resistant a particularly resistant process to osmosis and that kind of thing. And North Shore boats are very well known for their structural soundness, even after lots of years in the water. Everything seemed to work out. Everything was fine. Propeller was new. All just fantastic. So we put the boat back on the water. Don was very happy with the vessel, and we took it out for a sail. And for me, this was the point. There was Don. We had the main out, and Don was. It was lovely to have somebody else on the boat doing some hard work. Don was rolling out the Genoa, which I knew was dirty. That's beside the point. But I said, "Oh, the Genoa's a bit dirty." He said, "Oh, that's all right. We can get that clean." I said, "Yeah." Anyway, Don rolled out the Genoa, and she picked up the quite light breeze there up on Pittwater, and she just moved. And I went, wow. It just took off the slightest breeze, and it just felt silky smooth to me. And I actually said to Don, I'm not sure if I've got video footage, I'll post it here. I'm not sure if I've got this, but I said I could just sail off towards the heads right now. It just felt so good. And that was the moment for me when I was determined, unless Don was going to take me aside and say, forget this boat, it's falling apart, that I was going to buy that boat. But anyway, at the end of the day, I shook hands with Rod, and I was the proud owner of a North Shore 340. The way I went about buying this boat may grate on some of you. Why did I buy this boat? Why didn't I look at a dozen 340s and then choose the best one and go with that? Very simply, I've already said that North Shore 340s don't come up very often. So waiting for another 11 boats to come up may be a process that takes 2-3 years. Are other boats going to be significantly better than the boat that I bought? Probably not. They could be significantly worse. Are they going to be 5% better? Possibly. Am I willing to wait around 6 months, 12 months, whatever, for a boat that's 5% better? If I wait around for a boat 6 months, 12 months, and realize all this time that the first one I looked at was essentially as good, if not better, than the ones I'm now looking at, would I then have the opportunity to purchase the original boat? Clearly no. My theory is this. I wanted a particular type of boat. I inspected that boat. That boat met my expectations. In many ways exceeded them. Some ways, very slight ways, it didn't. But the things that didn't meet my expectations were things that I could action cheaply and on my own. I was not going to stand by and watch that boat be sold out from under me because I was looking for 1%, 2%, maybe 5% better. So I bought it. Simple as that. Some people like to go the other way and spend years looking for boats and, oh, look how patient I've been. Haven't I been wonderful? And 5 years later still don't have a boat. That's your choice. Well, that's your choice. I don't have a problem with that. Boat was right at the time. Deal was done. Very simple.